yourself. Nobody will be there. Like if you join a well-established company, which is 10 years old, 15 years old, the company has systems and processes which are in place. Like today, you are joining a college, which is not new, which is 57 years old. So which means everything is in place. Admission process is in place, your induction is in place, your term exams, semester exams, everything is in place. It is not ad hoc, right? And your date of passing, your timetable, everything is absolutely set. In a structured, in a regular organization, your joining, your training, your induction, all the phases of your career is all well set. You don't have to worry about that at all. So you get a job, you are expected to report on certain times, you on a certain day, then your training will happen. You may have like flexi times from 9 to 5 or you can go at 11 o'clock and so on, but companies don't change that. But there is a set pattern to that. What you don't get in a structured companies, you may not have freedom. Like if you are in development, even though broadly you are in development, you will not be doing all the development part. You will be given a small bit of code or a module in which you may not even know where the real module fits in. That you will not never ever get an idea of the complexity of the whole problem at all. You will be possibly doing a small module for a password authentication, or maybe even something in the back end, or fine-tuning a database to ensure that the database runs, or if you are in testing, you will be doing testing either on the front end side, back end side, whatever, if it's a software guys, whatever. So in a structured organization, your scope is very, very limited, but the pluses are no tension. It's absolutely like a typical bank job. You go in, check in, 9 o'clock, you are supposed to do that, 5 o'clock you can close up, go home and do whatever you want. Enjoy, read books. But there is no, so different people have different thrills. Some of the people will be very content, happy, 9 to 5, go back home, watch TV, everything, read newspaper and so on. Nothing wrong or right, anything. You would be enjoying that, because at the end of 30, 40 years, you will find all these curves of income, expenditure, ups and downs in life, the uncertainties in life. All these are areas under the curve. So if you plot a curve, the y-axis as being happiness or enjoyment or income, you put any of those parameters on the y-axis. On the x-axis, you put the time, 1 year, 2 years, 30, 40 years, or 45 years of your career. And then you plot a curve, so you will have very high income startups or job that you have, then maybe a government job, you will have a very low income, but it keeps on going at 3%, 4% growth, increment, annual and so on. It's a very steady type of thing for 40 years. Some of you know that the area under the curve, like in engineering, you have the energy and so on. The area under the curve is what you have made net throughout the line. The peaks and valleys are your root mean values, high values and low values and all that. So these are spikes. It gives you the kick, but it also gives you the same amount of trouble, right? Because certain days you will literally, you will not have money to pay the bills. So what I'm trying to tell you is, on the very, very long cycle of 30, 40 years, everything averages out. So you cannot say that yes, this was a better decision or that was a better decision. So what you sacrifice in terms of risk, what you sacrifice in terms of the adrenaline that you want, you can't do bungee jumping at the age of 50 or 40. You can do that at the age of 20, right? So what you get by sacrificing one, you would enjoy the other thing because you have a very stable, steady life. But people do not appreciate that. They always look at others' life as a moving target and keep that. That is why I also said, define success as what it means to you, not to anybody else. Because at the end of the day, it is you who are going to be happy. Now coming back to again startup. So I explained to you what is startup is, what is the phase of a startup, what are the things you learn in a startup. Typically, in a startup, you are expected to do everything. There will not be anybody to guide you. They will not tell you where to look for what answer, how to do it, how do you solve a problem, technical problem. Therefore, a startup gives you enough scope to learn. At the same time, there is nobody to tell you what you are learning, whether it is the right thing or the wrong thing. Because, see, why I said right thing or wrong thing, in a startup, the other possibility is, if it is not very fairly organized startup, some of the bad practices that you pick up while writing code continues. Okay, and when I say bad practices, there are, even when you write a software product and develop a product, there are good methods of doing that. And those methods, you always get it in a very structured company. So if you have a plan and you want to start up, you have a dream, maybe you may not have an idea today, but 3 years down the line, you enjoy, you are willing to take the risk. My advice would be spend about 2-3 years in a very structured company so that you understand the different facets of the business. What is finance? What is business development? What is quality control? How a business, how many people are required? Because you have to estimate how it is done. How people behave. See, in a large organization, you will come across varieties of people, varieties of departments. Each of them, their disposition to you will be very different. So how do they behave? How do you handle conflicts? See, conflict handling is not something which you learn in any subject here. But conflict handling is one of the most important things. So suppose you start a company of your own. Friends are there, you start up, and then how do you handle issues between two people who are maybe your batchmates or juniors? It's not the same way that you would handle it in a hostel environment. So these are things what you learn in a structured company where you spend the initial couple of years. So I explained to you what are the advantages of working in a startup and then doing your own startup. So till now we have covered what is entrepreneurship. I have covered in brief what is the startup phase and what are the things you learn in a startup which is not your own. Now we come to the combination of an entrepreneur and a startup. That means you are an entrepreneur, you want to start up on your own. So how do you go about it? Okay, now we will assume that you have a fair amount of idea about what you want to do. You want to start up the venture. Now, invariably I've seen, because I've met a lot of guys from different phases of their career, 1 year experience, 2 years, 5 years. Invariably what happens is you come out with a brilliant idea which you thought you could do or you were doing as part of the project, and then you want to start a company of its own. And then 4 of you meet together and they say, okay, let us form a company and let us do a startup. See, startup is not that easy. See, things that you must understand is, any business, doing a small project, a live project which works is not startup. The startup has to be an entity which runs, which means you must know what is the capital structure. Okay. So what people normally do is, unfortunately, our Ministry of Company Affairs allows you to start a company with a minimum capital of 1 lakh. So what happens? You go to the company where somebody advises you that you can start a private limited company. You know the cost required is just about 1 lakh rupees. You can float a company. So you say, okay, XYZ India Private Limited or XYZ Private Limited. You start a company. What is your expense? Nothing. It's about 8,000-9,000 rupees because that's the amount you actually spend to get a name and incorporate the company. What is the capital of the company? Is 1 lakh. So you find it's okay, 1 lakh paid up capital. All of us, or most of us, come from a technical background. We have no clue what capital means. Okay. So we say it's okay, we have started the company and therefore, and then we ask the CA saying that okay, you can work out a balance sheet, you can work out a profit and loss statement, and he will tell you okay, you can, to keep the costs down or keep the duty, stamp duty, everything down, then you can form a company which is 1 lakh capital. See, capital is the first starting thing. That is the money. See, we unfortunately miss out distinguishing ourselves as individuals from a company. See, even though you start the company, please understand the company is a separate entity, you are a separate entity. That means even though you are the founder of the entity or the company and you have sure or you have decided to put 1 lakh of rupees as the capital, that 1 lakh is not sufficient for you to run the company. Because you need to have space, you need to have telephone bills to be paid, you need to have conveyance. So all this when you actually add up your monthly expense, and when you do that you say, okay, these are the costs I have done, therefore 90% of the time people also forget that had they been employed somewhere, they would have got a salary. There's a time that you are spending. So, okay, you may not get or you may not factor the salary that you would have normally got in a company if you have taken a job after the college placement. But there is a certain amount of money which is involved with respect to your time. So there is a notional value of salary that you put in. So when you do the plan for a year, so how am I going to run year 1 of my company? So you say, okay, I have to pay the auditor, I have to pay this, that, rent, water, electricity, telephone and all. Then you find it is 1 lakh is nowhere. 1 lakh doesn't mean anything. So the first thing is, please get that thing in that 1 lakh capital you can run a company. Because then, see, legally it is possible. But ultimately what will happen is, there will be a lot of loans that you would personally be putting your money and the company keeps on going. That means you will hire one person, you will pay money from your thing, you cannot get accounted, and at some point of time you are into a situation where you cannot get. So capital structuring of the company is very important. Understood? Next is, you four of you, 3 roommates, next room, room number 95, 96, 97, very close friends, going to the mess together and also, and you have discussed the idea through and through, and you are good in certain part of the program, he's good in that part, and you all decide, okay, let's start a company. And then you say, okay, let's do one thing, we have 4 of us are there, so let's split each of us 25% stake in the company. Mistake number 2. Because you have decided that you have formed a company and all of you have equal stake. See, please understand, it is very difficult to quantify and also to understand. See, as a friend, you are in the journey at that point of time. You have decided, yes, 4 of you are required to make that particular module. I am not denying the fact that maybe that module or that particular product or that particular whatever you want to do, 4 of you are required, and 4 of you have equal participation in terms of coding or whatever it is. Okay? Equity percentage is very, very different from this sharing of responsibility at this point of time. Equity percentage, when you say that you hold equal percentage, 25, 25, 25, right? You are actually, the entity which is there as a company, you are splitting it into 4 parts and you are distributing it. The company has to pass a lot of milestones. Company will have to meet customers, will have to generate. See, the company may have a very brilliant product, but if the customer does not understand, there's nobody to go to the customer and sell it, the product is of no use. Like we took the example of, let's say, Google, or there are you take Ola cabs and so many products. Or even you take your Flipkarts and Amazons. There are many of these e-commerce sites. Why is it that only 2, 3 of them are doing well, the others are not doing well? That is because these 2, 3 of them have been able to position themselves, spend enough money in marketing. So it is not that the engines are bad. The same engines by and large would work for all of them. There is a lot of money which goes at the back end